All right, Coughfee Shoppe Radio, we in the building. You know what it is. Hallelujah, praise ye Yah, the Most High, self-existent one. You not know about him and who he is. When you say hallelujah every time, that's what you're speaking about, the Most High himself. My name is DJ Quartermain, the Coughfee Shoppe Radio DJ. Queen Yodi, our guest speaker Mercedes in the building. It is right now, it's going to be Queen's official night on the topics and speaking on today's society, life, and things going on, how the women feel of 2017.
That's right.
So first I'm going to go over as far as right now, it's going to be village parenting versus parenting. What are your views upon village parenting versus parenting? You know how they say it takes a village to raise a child.
Right, that is very true. Well,
you know, now me per se, I grew up in a village where my family, my aunties, my uncles, all of us, you know, everybody said, I'm an 80s baby, so anyone that was born in the 80s understands this whole method about saying, you know, where you went outside, you did something wrong, like, you know, Uncle JoJo or TT down the street, you know what I'm saying, was going to hear about it, tell your grandma about it, but your grandma tell your mama.
Right.
And you get whooped by your mama, your daddy, your grandma, your grandpa,
correct,
all within that same day, and then you still get put on punishment.
Right.
You know, so, you know, and at the same time as well, it kept you on your toes. Me, when I was growing up in Chicago, you know, it was very difficult, life as it was growing up, dealing with the aspects of how the streets were back then, you know what I'm saying, the wild hundreds. And, you know, you had to have family members to keep you in check besides just your mom and dad because it kept you scared of what either your uncle was going to do, your auntie was going to do, or your very best uncle, auntie, who you were super cool with, that you was embarrassed to, you know, want to, you know, know that you did anything wrong. So, then.
What's up, y'all?
Oh, I did it again.
I'm going to take this call. Business.
See, look at that. So
see, just like a man in didn't leave $20 on a nice dinner. No.
So Yolanda, what you think your perspective between women and the idea of feeling about village raising a child versus parenting today? Because you know a lot of people nowadays they don't accept the village raising a child.
Right. Well, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of feel like village parents back then was put in a place of that particular community to help build up those children to the now adults that most of us see, right? But the reason why there's such a major decline in that is because there's no wisdom that's being applied. That's just my personal opinion. Like everything that pretty much that village parent taught them, that is to bestow upon the next group, right? So, but if we're not bestowing any knowledge, common sense, wealth, information, etc. to them, then ultimately what ends up happening is there becomes a decline in longevity because if you think about it, lives to live about 46. So if you think about back then, the actual people who ran those villages were in their late 60s, late 70s, 80s, etc. Because they lived long enough where they can actually get some information. So if we had more village parentings that existed, we wouldn't have such a high crime rate now that we have.
I think it's a lot of laws and things like social services that people don't want to deal with either.
Correct.
You know, because, I mean, these people are out here for honest cause, you know, for those children that are being abused.
Right.
But now it's to a point we can't discipline our children. I'm not talking about taking an extension cord but I'm familiar with the switch. I'm familiar with the belt, you know, and it gets your attention.
Yeah, it does.
Got mine growing up.
House shit with some more stuff.
You know, so I'm familiar with that. But I think over time is a system that sometimes can divide and conquer a household, a family, a community.
All right. Now, since we got on that subject as far as in the parenting thing and whatnot, now I just want other people to give me your views and topics. Remember, you can always subscribe, sign up anytime, CoughfeeShoppeRadio.com or Coughfee Shoppe Radio TV, which you can check it out also on YouTube as well, streaming live as we speak. Now, next thing I want to talk about as far as what we talked about yesterday, Chester, I'm glad you're here, which we can touch on now, are making technology raise their children, bro. Now, go ahead and express that view because we only got a little bit on it last week. So
last week we talked about it, yeah. We talked about it a little bit where, you know, a lot of parents these days, they push the device in front of the kid, you know, and be it from the young age to all the way up to teenagers. I mean, they do it, and it's not, nowadays it's not about teaching the child yourself. It's like, oh, go look it up on Google. Go look it up yourself. Like, yeah, I believe in a little bit of self-education, but when it's a child, you have to, you need that parent interaction.
Right.
I would agree with that. I would, but I think that the technology they got available today is overwhelming to them.
It is.
It's a lot of information from a lot of different people that they don't even know.
Yes.
And so they're listening to a lot of voices.
Right.
And it gets confusing at times, and especially on the young teens.
How do y'all feel with teens and technology today compared to how y'all were as teens growing up?
I honestly feel like it's creating an emotional desensitization.
Detachment, yeah.
Simply because, like, if you really think about it, a lot of children now have access to a wide brand of social media. Like, back then, what we had was MySpace. Okay?
Barely
had MySpace. I mean, depending on what kind of internet you had back in the day.
Yeah.
As far as, like, back then, what we actually used to communicate with people, it was, the photos and stuff like that, but there was no actual videos that kids were exposed to. Because if you really think about it, there's a child that I watched at a restaurant. That baby was Snapchatting every single thing that took place while she's sitting there. Completely cut off from the parents. Parent is not even saying, hey, how was school? What did you do for school? Give me your phone. They not actually enforcing that. So what is this child doing? On social media seeking validation. And then what ends up happening when they get older? When they actually come out in the real world, they're seeking validation.
Yeah.
And do you think nowadays validation is more important than, ethics or effort?
It depends on what cup you pouring the child and they're sipping from. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Correct
I think
me if I'm
some of
wrong.
these kids and teens today, they think somebody owe them something.
Yep.
They think somebody owed them. I'm supposed to.
And why do you say that?
Because what they really don't understand is what it took to provide it.
Exactly.
Did it take you going to work sick? Did it take you taking time off and spending money that you didn't plan in the budget?
Right.
It's a lot of different factors, and homes are different. Sometimes it may exist in a 2-parent home.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that.
Ooh-wee.
So I mean, you talking about so many. In the end of it, it's about the free flowing information. How can we control it in such a way where it's the information we want to get to them or expose them to first until they get old enough to have had exposure to more things, to have a formed opinion.
Gotcha.
It can be an opinion of their own, but you've exposed them to things in such a way.
And do you think because of right now with high school and colleges, how reputation and validation is so important? I mean, think about it. The way you dress, the way you talk, the way you act, what you like. Like, it seems as if, like, even to get a job nowadays, they look at your Facebook now to base your credibility as far as getting employed.
Correct.
So, it's crazy how, I think it's just, like, a phenomenally insane how today's society and the world today is pressuring more on the kids when you see that now, because it seems as if validation is more important, which is terrible.
Correct.
I see the other side of it. I see control.
Woo! Okay.
I can see control. That you can take Facebook for itself.
Mm-hmm.
If you got friends nearby.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Your light green if you're available to chat.
Right.
You got location devices. Wherever you at, you taking a picture, you can tag the location wherever you are.
And give the exact damn address.
Mm.
It's control, but nobody looks at it that way. But that's what it is, to where the whole world can have their hand in your.
Yeah.
You know,
Technology's taking over.
technology, and the thing is, me being a part of a generation that watched the first Apple computer. Oh, that was horrible, by the way.
Yep.
From actually having a cell phone. And if it was a Nokia, you knew exactly what I'm talking about. Or if you had one of the actual long cordless flip
Go
phones,
back to
whatever.
IBM.
Yeah.
It's like playing with an Atari
I mean,
in
how
today's world.
technology has truly evolved. Now, granted, I see now that a 1-year-old can operate an iPad. They know how to take pictures. Because why is that? Because their mind is so quickly evolved at such a young age, based on the products of food that we eating. But that's on a whole nother subject too.
Well, they're like sponges. I mean, they soak up
They
everything.
soak up every single thing. But then it's like, okay, so then that comes that I call it a blank canvas of reality that's painted to them on how their life is supposed to be. Which is why, okay, this is my life. My life is not fun like this person. They do that whole comparison and contrasting at such a young age because they don't know the struggle that it's taken to actually make sure they have a roof over their heads, or how many times mommy actually went home and didn't eat anything while you ate something, just to make sure that you had something in your belly. You know what I mean? Kids really,
It's in today's
it depends
world.
on the user and the abuser.
Yeah.
Because it's like a catch-22 almost in a sense.
Surely it is. It depends on the user or the abuser, honey.
Yeah.
And it ultimately is up to the parents to keep that in line. On how much of that social media they're getting.
Oh shit!
Or
You
how
can't
much-
keep that in line.
Right.
It's too much of it.
Right.
Well,
You got Facebook. Don't forget Instagram. You got Snapchat. You got what's the other
Twitter.
one? Twitter. You
Yeah.
got. It's more than that. The little apps
there's
they
a bunch
load
of 'em.
up.
We'll go back to what you were saying, Chester, now. About as far as you were saying, as far as technology and how it's controlling the kids and everything, man.
well, it is. I mean, like she was saying, that everything, every time you go in somewhere, the phone's in front of their face. The parents aren't making them put the phones down. I think it just detaches them from their parent and from the parent interacting with them.
Now, by you being a parent, how do you feel about social media, Mercedes? As a mother, and you have and a girl of all
My
things.
oldest one, she's smart.